Welcome to Whiskey and Whitetails, the show for those that like to talk about whiskey and whitetails, but want to listen to a podcast that actually rabbit holes into more random topics than actual whiskey and whitetails, with the exception of this episode. I'm Gus.
I'm Matt. I was mouthing the whole time.
Yeah, I could see.
So no one could tell who was talking.
Yeah, they'll have no idea, especially if you're listening.
Yeah.
Thank you to our Patreon for their support. As always, you can join by going to Patreon/Whiskey and Whitetails. Thank you to you, the listener, for your support, your encouragement, your shitty comments, and your hatefulness. I'm just kidding. We love you all.
And your texts. I like the text.
And your text messages.
I love getting told how much I fuck up every Monday. It's great.
Mm-hmm. It's a great way to start the week. And thank you to the Waypoint Network for hosting us. We go down the rabbit hole on whiskey this episode, which we haven't really done in a while. But this was kind of a much needed discussion to have on some current happenings in the
I think so too.
market.
That's why this podcast was titled "The Bourbon Boom." Is it over, or the bourbon? Oh, I don't know what we're going to title it yet. The bourbon boom has ended. That's the end of the bourbon boom. No more bourbon. Bourbon is over. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Bourbon's over, and it's your fault.
That's a good. Yeah, that's actually that. Yep, there we go. Bourbon's over, and it's your fault. That's exactly what I'm going to name it, and you'll find out why.
So, all right. Well, enjoy the episode. Leave us a comment on YouTube or shoot us a message on Instagram if you have some thoughts about what we discuss, and we look forward to hearing it.
Absolutely. All right.
Happy Monday. If you're listening, it's Friday for us when we're recording, but hope you had a good weekend. Getting to kick off to a good week.
100%. Hope our weekend was good. Actually, it's today's federal holiday. Monday is so.
That's right. It's a National Day of Service. So
maybe you're at home while I'm at home.
That is correct. I forgot about that. I actually have to double check and see if Monday is. I think Monday is a holiday for us. The VA is weird with what, and so is IBM with what they consider.
I got a email from a veteran guardian place that works for the VA and said they're closed on Monday. So.
Okay, then probably is then. Nice 3-day weekend. Wasn't even paying attention.
I mean, double check, but
nah. What are they gonna do? Fire me?
Yeah. It'd be funnier if people knew what that meant.
Yeah, it would.
Oh man, I had an interesting week at work. The other week, I had some internal struggles and some grown adults, man, people older than me, yelling and screaming at each other.
And children, dude,
it's crazy. It's so wild when you see an older dude lose his cool in a public setting.
Yeah,
like at work.
I've only seen it happen once, and it was my former company, and it happened right outside of I had a cubicle at the time in this long hallway. And it started in these two guys' office, and they had a disagreement about something. And the one gentleman who I still know, and you know him too, but I won't say his name. He worked there. He's a tall guy. He actually is a bourbon enthusiast himself.
Oh boy.
And he's a tall guy, big dude. Not the type to be easily intimidated. And he was standing his ground in his argument. And the guy was losing the argument, and then decided that he felt threatened by this gentleman's just composure and not getting all fired up. And so this other guy started screaming and yelling like at the top of his lungs that he was being threatened and just all this other stuff. And thank God that there were enough of us around this went all the way to like corporate HR, and we got pulled into, they sent someone down to the office to do like interviews, and everyone was like, this guy didn't do anything. The conversation was regular, normal speaking tone from him the entire time. This other guy lost his shit.
Yeah.
And that was a story across everyone, and that guy got fired.
That's kind of the way this went down. I was pulled into HR to talk about it because it started in a meeting I was leading.
Oh, jeez.
I watched them all walk out, and I was like, well, here it goes. And I just continued the meeting. As soon as it was over, I had a request from HR to come have a chat.
I mean, is it ever anything really worth getting so passionately upset about? Like,
no, what's funny is the guy that got mad, I obviously am not going to go into details, but the guy that got mad, the thing he got mad about actually had nothing to do with him. He thought it did. He just misunderstood what was going on. Nobody said his name. It had nothing to do with him at all. It was actually pointed towards someone else. And then he just fucking took off.
Wow.
Pretty crazy.
Jeez.
before we get into anything else, so yesterday was the 16th, January 16th, 16 days sober. That was the first day that I've been at work. I've been like, fuck, I want to go home and have a bourbon.
Mm,
I really wanted it, but that's, people are like, oh, I did 10 days or 12 days and that's enough. Yeah. I mean, that's fine. It's for me, it's not about, I don't even know what enough is. To me, enough is I committed to going to the 27th because I'm going to
yeah,
Nashville on the 27th for a Jack Daniels pick. So I'm
right.
obviously not going to go and not drink, but, to me, it was to see if I can do it. And so, I get those cravings and then I go, no, it's a mental battle. Has nothing to do with
Hmm.
anything. Yeah, sure. Glass of whiskey would be great. A
Yeah.
bottle of whiskey would be even better. But
You
mentally,
made a commitment to yourself. If you can't
yeah.
honor a commitment to yourself, you know, that's how can you honor a commitment to anybody else?
You hear that, Patreon?
You can't love yourself.
you can't,
You
you
can't love
can't,
anyone else.
yeah. You hear that, Patreon? You're all in hopeless marriages because you can't love yourself enough to
Oh,
not
that's
drink.
fun.
No, I'm just kidding. They know I'm joking.
Uh,
Nope, we
that's an
love them.
inside joke. If you want to join Patreon, as we mentioned in the intro, patreon.com/whiskey and whitetails, and you'd get the joke.
Yeah. I think you and Michael Bedenbaugh from Medicinal Whiskey are the only people I know that have that are still sober 17
Yeah.
days in. I had a
It's
guy that from work and he I guess the Texas was playing on the 10th.
mhm.
He was like, "Well, I'm going to be sober other than the 10th. I'm going to go drink on the 10th." And I'm like,
Okay.
"Okay. Whatever you I mean, whatever. That's not really how it works, but that's fine."
I kind of started the whole sober thing when I started carnivore last year in April,
Yep, I did it
and
too.
it just kind of stuck. Like I got to where I was waking up early and going to bed. Like I just felt good. And then
Yep.
after a few months, I had a couple pours and woke up feeling like shit the next day. And I was like, I just don't think I really want to do that too often. And so I've only drank really since I started carnivore. I've only drank on podcasts where we've had a pour, and then I think I had some champagne on Thanksgiving and maybe Christmas. But I've cut back drastically. I
Yeah.
still like whiskey. It's just not an everyday part of my life.
Well, there goes the clout. They don't even drink. How are you going to have a podcast called Whiskey and Whitetails? You don't even drink or hunt. We
Because
didn't
I
really
probably know
fucking hunt
more.
this year
Because I
either.
probably know more about whiskey than
Yeah,
the
we're still
average
teaching
person.
classes. Oh, we
Yeah.
were
Oh
asked
yeah.
to do the Goatery again.
Okay.
I don't know that I'll be here anymore, but I think it'd
Yeah.
be fun to do. I might come back for it.
Sure.
Just a thought. All right, let's get into this. So everybody saw on the news probably about Brown Foreman, and so all the headlines are like the whiskey boom is over. Well, we called this December of 2023, actually.
Hmm.
And December 2023 was the first month since before COVID that tequila outsold whiskey. And all last year, it just slowly declined. And now we're getting into 2025 and stuff happened last year. We'll get into some of that. But now it's like it's pretty obvious. I mean, MGP cut back last year as well. I have all this number. We'll get into it. And
That's
so again,
crazy.
everything is cited. We're not making anything up. And most of this comes from Discus, the Distilled Spirits Council of the United States.
Ooh.
And we're also going to talk about tariffs, which is fun.
Ooh. Yes.
But yeah, it's finally happened. I think we can officially say the bourbon boom is over. So,
Tell me why, Matt.
oh well.
How did we
Well,
how did we get here?
I was going to talk about Discus first.
Okay, let's do that.
So it's like an advocacy program. They advocate for laws and policies that support the distilled spirits industry. They handle things like taxes, tariffs, regulations, and they have one of the largest voices in American whiskey as far as international trade disputes and all that. And we're going to be talking about a bunch of that too. They also do market analysis, which is how I'm getting some of this stuff. They focus on public education, industry standards, and export support for American spirits abroad. And it's a wide range of members, including multinational companies, independent craft distillers, suppliers. I mean, it's a bunch. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the ups and downs of bourbon. So as we know, 1920 and 1933 was prohibition, which means the legal sale was zero other than medicinal, which
Mm-hmm.
we've talked about medicinal whiskey before. It's more than you think it is. But anyway, 1933 to 1960s, that was following the repeal in 1933, but the whiskey industry began to rebuild. And so distilleries resumed operations Whiskey sales gradually increased as the market stabilized. The post World War II era saw a huge surge in whiskey popularity, like Jack Daniels, Jim Beam, people like that. Our grandparents coming home drinking that delicious Jack Daniels and Jim Beam from the early 50s, 40s, 30s, 60s. And in the 1970s, we saw a huge decline, and that lasted for almost 20 years, mainly because that's what my dad drank, that entire generation. So our parents, they were more into
Right.
the vodkas and the gins. And you still see that people that are in their 50s now, um, those people like gin and tonics, they like vodka soda. That's still what they drink. So there was a thing called the whiskey renaissance, and that started in the late 90s, and it kind of lasts until now. Um, but it was basically just a renewed interest in craft and premium spirits. Whiskey consumption went up, the rise of small batch, single barrel offerings, stuff that consumers wanted. They were seeking unique, high quality products, and it kind of just continued on until about 2019.
Mhm.
So I was going to go over some sales numbers. Let's see. Whiskey market witnessed growth during the period from 2019 2022. The whiskey sales volume in the United States amounted to over 77 million 9-liter cases, which is a significant increase from the years before. And that lasted until 2023, where we saw a 1.2% decline. And that kind of contributed into 2024. There was a 4% decline in there. You're right over there?
Yeah. I had to get some,
Oh, get some nicotine. Um, but yeah, so I think a lot of what happened in the 2020 thing was I'm not even going to say the word, but we all know what happened in 2020. But it at home consumption went through the roof. I mean, it
yeah.
just went through the roof because everybody was drinking at home. They had nothing else to do. We kind of started our company in that, and we're selling cocktail smokers like crazy. And I mean, it was just a huge thing. We were doing all kinds of stuff because it was just huge because there's nothing else to do.
Yeah, it's super trendy, and
Mhm.
it gave people something people to do, to collect, to occupy their time, and drown out their fucking misery, I guess.
Right? And everybody loves cocktails, so it's like, well, I'm gonna learn how to make cocktails, and it's just
Yeah.
bourbon pages opened up. There's including us. I'm
Well, it's
not
also
talking
like
shit.
the only thing of the few things that you were allowed to go out and do for a while was go shop. Like, you could go shop
Hmm.
at places. So an excuse to go hop around town and go to different liquor stores was an activity.
Yep. And that was something I did a lot. Going store to store, just bourbon shopping.
Mhm.
Loved it. Thought it was fun. Um, yeah. So the economic pressure, uncertainty has prompted consumers to opt for more affordable alcohol recently. And also, there's been a pretty big change in health and lifestyle shifts, which is, I don't know, you can kind of see it on Instagram and other social media platforms where people are just like getting into better shape, I think. And I think that a lot of that has to do with some, I guess, the CBD drinks. I see that all the time. Andy actually told me that a girl she works with drinks them. She was like, I just don't understand why you would drink alcohol. They have CBD drinks. And she's like, yeah, well, people like my husband can't have that. So,
Right.
there's some people that don't want to be high, they want to be drunk. And,
Sure.
um, but I think that there's probably a lot of people that think that way. And so, like, they have just gone away from alcohol and started doing these CBD drinks because we have a friend that does them. And I think he was saying you could have like two and you kind of feel buzz like you're had a few beers. I mean, I don't
Mhm.
know.
Yeah, I
It's
don't
been
know
a
much
long
about it either,
time
but
since I've had marijuana, but I don't ever remember just being buzzed.
no.
But I don't know. I guess it's lower dosage. I have no idea. But anyway, another key thing here was the market saturation overstocking because the retailers they were anticipating this huge demand and they overstocked whiskey products during the pandemic. Or I said it and I shouldn't have, but anyway, this resulted in an oversupply that
Mhm.
affected sales, leading to strategic shifts within the company. So there was industry responses from that. So in reaction to that, most industry players they're implementing cost saving measures now. For instance, this is the Jack Daniels part. They announced a 12% reduction in their global workforce, and they're
Mhm.
also closing the distillery Cooperage in Louisville that we went to, which is
Yeah.
sad because that was a really cool place. It was one of my favorite places we've been.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Um, but they believe that doing this, they're going to free up like 70 to 80 million dollars.
Yeah. Wow.
So I mean, I get it.
Do you think do you remember in 20 oh man, it must have been 2012 or 2013, Maker's Mark put out a thing that said, "Look, we don't we want to make sure we can continue to put out quality stuff. So we're gonna up production and and lower the
Yes,
proof."
I
Do
do
you
remember
think
that.
that they were looking ahead and realizing, all right, there's a boom and we don't have enough. Let's pump it. I wonder what their impact has been on this. If maybe that inadvertently saved them from having, being in this position that a lot of other distillers are in with too much uh, whiskey now and not being able to move it.
Could be, and we talked a lot of shit about that, but honestly, out of all the classes that we do, the lower
Yeah.
proof whiskey typically does better. So I don't know that I'm not sure
Well, I
that
know that the community
it was such a bad
came back.
thing.
Yeah, the community came back. It was like hard no.
Yeah, everybody
We'd
was
rather
mad.
have to wait, and we'd rather have a harder time finding it and it be what we like than you dilute it.
Right. And I have more on that too. Notes that I wrote, including things that we did that we were like, oh well, but yeah, I think they probably did it. I didn't look much into Maker's Mark. I don't really think about Maker's Mark very often because I'm not a
I just
I
remember
don't,
that being a thing. I
yeah.
used to I was an ambassador or whatever, and then we
Mm,
moved and they stopped sending shit because I didn't change my address. But anyways,
well, how cool were you as a
it was a
Maker's?
gift.
Yeah, I have it too. I don't. I guess in like 12 years there'll be a barrel I can go buy or something. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, something like that.
But everybody's like, so what's really going on? So I drove down to it's not necessarily just consumption, and we'll get into the consumption thing, but the huge concerns right now are the tariffs. And so everybody kind of says that in these press releases, but they don't go into it because tariff is such a hot word. Everybody just goes, oh, well, Donald Trump ruined the fucking bourbon industry. So I was like, did he? I mean, he doesn't drink, so I don't know. Let's look
Yeah.
into it. But it's actually an EU tariff increase. So the European Union is going to reimpose a tariff on whiskeys. It's 50%, and that goes into effect March 31st, 2025.
Okay.
And it's because of an ongoing resolution between steel and aluminum trade between us and the European Union. And that did start with Donald Trump, his first term. Um, so there's still so Discus again, they're expressing alarms over it, the potential tariff hike, emphasizing the detrimental effects it's going to have on whiskey exports and the broader industry. They're trying to do advocacy efforts to have a response to this tariff increase, and so a lot of these industry groups have intensified their advocacy. And one of the things is the Toast Not Tariffs Coalition,
Oh,
which is opposing tariffs on spirits. Speaking of side rabbit hole, real quick, have you seen? Welcome to the show. Have you seen?
we need a button for that when it happens.
Yeah, I know. This is way off topic too. I was just thinking about the
Perfect.
advocacy group. Have you seen the list of these planned protests for the inauguration?
No.
Oh my god, you have to look it up. I think I'm gonna get a live stream going. Like, find all the live streams of the White House on inauguration. There's like a shit ton of advocacy groups that are going to be at the White House. One of them's called it's something like "Don't Let Trump In." I mean, it's like that blatantly obvious. The CIA put this out too, so all these people are now on the CIA watch list.
Good for
But
them.
yeah, it's like "Don't Let Trump In." So they're going to surround the White House to stop it from. It's like good luck.
Right.
Reading some of these advocacy groups, the names are quite funny.
Dude, I saw, since we're on this topic, a lady posted a thing yesterday where I don't know how she did it. I don't know what the process is, but she managed to get her hands on like 100 tickets to the inauguration, and she was sharing how to do this in hopes that other like-minded folks would gather up all these things and prevent the number of people from showing up, as if that's going to make any
Yeah,
difference.
that'll
Like,
stop it.
yeah,
We can't, sir. We can't start your inauguration. There's no one here.
sorry, you can't be president. Nobody showed up to your inauguration.
It's stupid.
So Trump would be like, "You mean I can just go straight to work?
Yeah, I
Let's
think
do
he
it."
would love that.
I
Yeah,
think
let's
he
get him
would
in there
too. He doesn't.
faster.
If people haven't figured that he doesn't, other than getting an opportunity to talk, which he loves to talk, he could probably
Mhm.
care less for most of the pomp and circumstance.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Yeah, anyway, sorry. Section 232 tariffs is where we were. That's the name of it, by the way, if you want to look it up. But in 2018, the Trump administration imposed a steel and aluminum, so it's 25% on steel and 10% on aluminum imports from several countries, mainly the EU, Canada, and Mexico. And the justice for this was national security, that the over reliance on imported metals could cause compromise for U.S. defense industries. So they're
Yeah.
trying to get people to make metal here.
Yeah.
That was the point of the tariff. So he didn't do it to kill the bourbon industry. It just happened to happen. But I'm
That's a
not even fully putting in. Well, I'll get into why I think it's happening towards the
yeah.
end. But
Well, for those who don't understand the idea of tariffs, even why the president elect is wants to impose more of them, is that as Matt explained, it increases what it costs for a company to import goods into
yeah,
the United States. So then suddenly now it's cheaper to manufacture or get those goods from inside the United States. That boosts our economy.
and jobs.
It creates more jobs.
Yeah,
It puts more money back into the economy and in people's pockets. Now that doesn't happen overnight, but it's a net win overall, I think.
yeah. And I agree with you. And a lot of people are like, well, you're just going to ruin the economy because it's going to be more expensive to get stuff. Yeah. I mean, that's the point of tariffs. That's exactly, you just read the definition. It will be more expensive to get stuff shipped here.
Yeah. So buy it from a local shop.
Yes. So
Support American
fucking,
businesses.
so it's
Don't
like,
get mad because you can't get
I
your
don't want
shit
to
from China.
employ my neighbor. I want to employ slaves in China.
Yeah.
Fuck that. Fuck tariffs. That's stupid. I'd rather get cell phones made from slaves as opposed to Americans. Yeah, it's
Ooh,
stupid.
yeah.
But most people don't learn about stuff. They just read headlines and repeat it. Anyway,
True.
so because of that tariff, there was retaliation, and so the EU affected countries and other affected countries rather imposed retaliatory Jesus Christ tariffs on U.S. goods, including whiskey,
Mm,
motorcycles. I mean, you name it.
yeah.
But the current state of the dispute in 2021, the U.S. and the EU reached a temporary agreement to suspend the tariffs, the retaliatory tariffs. I hate that word. And this agreement kind of paused, and so it hasn't really been a problem. But um, Daddy's coming home, so everybody's worried about it. And so they're saying they're going to double it to 50% again. How do we get political?
Yeah. That's as far as we're getting.
Yeah, we're not doing anything.
Look, if you can't just look at us and figure out which way we lean,
Yeah, I mean, and lean is a good word because I'm definitely not a Trumper or a card carrying Republican.
no.
But I'm definitely not a liberal. So there's that. I don't really think I'll ever vote again, to be honest. I don't really believe in it. I've kind of gotten whatever. No politics, no religion. Sick of it. It's just
Amen.
everywhere. Fuck. All right. Tariffs on American whiskey
Can't even get through a first topic.
have significantly reduced exports to the EU, which is a major market. And we've seen this before. I can't remember who it was right now. I think it was Diageo when they went to the Latin markets, and they were like, "Yeah, we're going to crush it in Latin America." And so they spent a lot of time and money there. Turns out those guys like Modelo, so didn't work out well for Diageo.
Well, so that's the point I was going to say is like, okay, you put a bunch of tariffs on American made whiskey. It's not like these other countries can just get that whiskey at home, so they're going to pay it. And
Yeah,
that's what I don't know what the other than the country who's I don't really understand what the impact is other than like what's the purpose?
of what?
Well, like for us, for example, for the steel thing, right? Like the tariffs on steel was to push the production of American made steel. They
Yeah,
can't make Jack Daniels in fucking
true.
Europe.
Yeah,
So is the point? Is it just to punish American businesses?
yeah, that's 100%. They're like, well, if you're charging us more, we're charging you more,
Okay,
and whiskey's a pretty good commodity. I mean,
I guess
people be drinking it.
I guess that would explain the term retaliatory. Okay,
Yeah, C
I'm catching up. Thanks.
or yes in English or Britain. Anyway. Fun times. And so, anyway, in summary, the decline of the U.S. whiskey sales attributed to a combination of 2020, consumption adjustments, economic factors, health conscious consumers, and market dynamics. Right. So basically, they're facing declining sales.
Mhm.
So over the past 6 months, 49 craft distilleries have filed for bankruptcy due to various challenges. Several have closed. The Stoli Group filed Chapter 11, which is basically a reorganization of their debt, not
Right.
necessarily a closing of the company.
Yeah.
And that was actually triggered by they had a pretty severe cyber attack that hit them. So
Mm.
that plus all the fat tax fees, fees, and then the declining whiskey sales. Yeah, I wrote a bunch of brands down. Chapter 11 bankruptcy, accumulating $1 million in debt. This was Never Forget Brands, which was the Game Day Vodka.
Okay.
What was his name? Kraft. Robert, the guy that owns the Patriots. Robert Kraft.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
whatever his name is. It was him. I didn't even know who Cam Newton was this morning. So, or did I say the wrong name?
for well, it depends. He's a retired football player, yeah.
Yeah, it was Cam Newton. So he was
Mhm.
on TV this morning, and I put this in Patreon. I said they got a priest from the Pilgrim Colony on TV. He seriously looks like like someone should be like our father, but he's wearing a pilgrim hat.
Oh, yeah,
He's lost his mind.
yeah, he's really into fashion, and he wears all kinds of crazy stuff.
Oh well, he looks. Somebody needs to tell him how stupid he looks. I was actually thinking about like if he were to go to a roast battle, everybody in there would just destroy him
Probably.
because of the way he drafts. Anyway, so I said here it boils down to a lot of points. So it doesn't really boil down. And so now I was going to kind of get into what I think's going on just because, I feel like I've got a pretty good touch, handle,
Mhm.
finger on the pulse on the of
Finger
what's
on the
going on.
pulse.
Yeah. So I think that the issue is more distribution than production. I think the retail markets have insane markups and it's pushed people away.
Mhm.
And I think that they want to try that one thing that everyone wanted to try. The secondary market happened. And when that happened, they're buying the things everybody wants to try. Insert your whatever you're thinking there. There's a
Mhm.
bunch of them. And they started, one of my favorite stories was that liquor store in Myrtle Beach or Pawleys Island. He was like, yeah, non-negotiable. If you're buying Colonel Taylor from me, it's $250, and it used to be 60, 70. And he's like, the reason why is because I put it on the store shelf for $60. Somebody comes in, connects to my free Wi-Fi, takes a
Mhm.
picture of it, posts it on Facebook for 200 and sells it in my parking lot for $200. You think, and I get it. I get it.
Sure.
But that pissed off retailers. They raised their prices. People got tired of not being able to find or afford it. And it also created the stigma about, I won't overpay for my bottle. So people just quit because it's like, well, clearly everyone's saying not to overpay. Well, I mean, if you really want something, sometimes you got to overpay for it. I mean,
Sure.
there's some things I really want right now that are hard to get, and I'm going to end up paying too much money for it.
Sure.
But I think it also boils down to customers are just not buying new products anymore. I think
Yeah.
most craft distilleries are releasing products that are far too young. And by young, I mean underdeveloped. I don't really mean age stated
Right.
because we've discussed
Beat
that at
beat
nauseum
that
now.
horse to death, yeah.
But it's all too high of a price. So you're going to go to these craft distillers, not all, okay,
No, we
but
have
a
some
lot,
great craft distillery connections, and they put out great products at very reasonable
100%.
prices.
Yes, they do.
There are also a lot who think way too highly of their product.
There is. Yeah. I mean, we're friends with a lot of craft distillers in the local area and, love their stuff. And I don't think it's crazy price at all. But that's not the case for a lot of things. So, yeah, too high of a price. And I just think it's most of it's shit.
Mhm. Yeah.
And then this is where we screwed up. There really aren't any new people coming in. And so we made this mistake with our cocktail smokers. If you remember, we thought, hey, someone turns 21 every day. So
Right.
every day there's going to be a new bourbon drinker that's going to buy a cocktail smoker, or in this case, is going to buy whiskey, is going to buy bourbon, is going to get into it and develop a collection. And that didn't happen.
Nope.
So, we saw it happening again when we said this in 2023 that the boom's over. We were basing it on of our sales. I mean, our sales
Sure.
went way down. People just
Yeah.
weren't buying that stuff anymore.
Luckily, we were
Um,
smart enough to create a business model that didn't rely on just those
yeah,
products.
the money was nice. I mean, we had a we got to travel and beach houses, and we got to do some fun stuff with
Yeah,
the hard work that we put into it and
sure.
the promotion of our products. But yeah, I mean, I have no, but also, so secondary, I think, is a huge thing about it.
Mhm.
And hoarders, I think, is a huge thing because these people are buying stuff and never opening it. I've gone into multiple houses where people are like, "Come see my bourbon collection." You walk over there and it's everything everybody wants, all the Wellers, all the Pappy, Buffalo Trace, Eagle Rare, Michter's, the single barrel, 10 years, 20
Yeah,
years, whatever, all this stuff. None of it's open. The only thing that's open is a bottle of Jim Beam, a bottle of Wild Turkey on it, and it's like,
and it's not like
cool.
just a couple bottles, it's like a half dozen, a dozen.
Hordes, dude,
It's like,
20,
Jesus,
30,
man.
40, 50 bottles that are not open.
Mhm.
Like, I have stuff that's not open, but mainly because I'm hoping to move soon. So I'm trying not to open anything new. I'm trying to finish what I've got. I've been trying to
Right.
think of if I'm gonna have like a bottle kill party and just
Oh, that'd be
liquidate.
fun.
But the other thing is, I do have a lot of that already open on the bar. So it's like some of them are backups.
Right,
And I sometimes pay too much, but usually I get it at a pretty good price.
right. But we also part of our business is teaching classes and catering to sometimes clients that are looking for very specific things. So sometimes you
Yeah.
buy things and hold on to it because you know there's gonna be an opportunity to use that in a class or with a client.
Yep, I've done that. We've had clients that have bought almost an entire setup for me just from stuff that I've had sitting around.
Right.
But um, not through the business, of course, because it's my personal property. But yeah, but also I believe that the distilleries just did not do a good job at education. I think that they pushed their premium stuff and that's it. And they created this drive and everybody wanted the premium stuff and nobody really cared about the stuff that they can actually make. I mean,
Yeah.
you can't make if Pappy was as easy to make as Buffalo Trace, do you think that Buffalo Trace would even exist? No, it'd be well, you can go in the store and buy a case of Pappy Van Winkle. You know, it's the shit's hard to make. It takes a long time. There's a lot of picky barrels where they're like, man, it's not going to give us the flavor we want, and it ends up being blended into something else. So
Right.
it's they're just not educating. They're just showing everybody the most expensive stuff, the premium stuff that they have, and that's what they're promoting. And they didn't need to do that. That was a waste of marketing money. They should have promoted their flagship bourbons. And that goes for everybody, not just Buffalo Trace. And I think what we're seeing is this: the customer base has decided what they want now, and people, including me, have a lot of things. I've tried a lot of things, but just like craft beer, like I'm pretty over it. I'm sick of buying a 6 pack and opening it, taking a sip, and be like, ugh. So I mean,
Right.
I drink Miller Lite. That's what I drink. People
Mhm.
talk shit like, oh, it's piss water, whatever. I can drink a bunch of them and be good. And it's a fun thing to sit and crack beers. I mean, I like it.
Yeah.
It works for me. But I'm pretty over buying $60+ bottles to find out that I don't like it. And I
Yeah,
think
absolutely that.
that's everyone.
Yeah.
And
No,
everybody
you're
knows
right.
I drink Wild Turkey, and I'll buy any Russells or Wild Turkey that is released, but I'm not going to buy ABC FRF Distillery or whatever just because you know I
They
saw
have
it
a
online.
because they have a good promotional marketing team.
Yeah, 100%.
And I think you can distill this down to basic economics, right? If you look
Yeah.
at stock market or any other market, markets will naturally correct themselves almost always.
Mhm.
And so this boom was inevitable to to crash or and to stop. And you highlighted it whenever you were like, this was the first quarter that and this was when 2022 or 2023. It's like this is the first quarter in however many years that tequila is outsold bourbon or whiskey.
Yeah.
And we were seeing it all over on Instagram, people experimenting with tequila, people starting to gravitate to trying and you even introduced me to some tequilas. Like my experience with tequila was cheap shit behind the
Yeah.
bar. I had
Yeah.
no idea this other world of tequila and premium tequilas that existed. And it'd be very easily and it'll be interesting to see if tequila does the same thing, in 15 years from now, if it's exploded, it's out of hand price wise, but maybe not. I don't know.
I mean, it's already getting that way. There's several brands that people. It's funny, man, because like I still go to liquor stores. I still have friends that own them, and I
Sure.
still hang out in them. And it used to be every phone call, every person that walked in, like, "Where's your rare shit? Where's your
Hmm.
expensive? Do you have this?" And now it's like almost every conversation is about tequila. They're looking for, certain brands of tequila. And I'm not the world's largest tequila fan, but I think tequila soda is like, if I'm going to an event or something and it's not a whiskey, like a concert, I'm
Yeah.
probably going to drink tequila soda the whole time because it's good. There's little to no hangover, and I mean, it's just soda water, I guess. I don't know,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think it's already starting to get that way where certain tequilas are extremely hard to find. But I think that the market is getting saturated. I mean, I'm watching these tequila shelves explode. There's bigger and bigger. They're starting to take some bourbon down and put tequila there.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
Yep.
I'm going to continue to buy single barrels because I think that they're fun and they're
Same.
cool, and I think it's
Yeah.
a cool collection thing to have. A bunch of stickers up on your bar.
Well, especially when
Um,
if you're able to be part of the pick, like that's
yeah, yeah,
it's be kind of silly to be part of a pick and not get a bottle.
right,
Um, but dude, even like I go to the liquor store right here by my house. Has a really big whiskey selection, and they regularly have a couple times a month. I go in there just to see what they got because it's right next to the grocery store, and I don't even look behind the shelf hardly anymore. And
yeah,
they always are like, well, I've got this and I've got that. And I look at the prices and I'm like, I'm not paying 300 and something dollars for anything, let
yeah,
alone Kentucky Owl or whatever else. Like I can probably take a trip later this year to Kentucky and get that for way fucking less.
yeah. It's just I wonder how long it's going to take for the retailers to come down, and I've started to see it at um, a bunch of stores that I'm starting to see it locally where the prices are coming down on things. Some stuff
Yeah,
are. I mean, there's I don't know. I don't want to say it because it's not happening yet, but soon one of the stores here is all of their single barrel picks are going to be at cost just to
really.
get rid of them, just get them out the door. So it's like that's coming. And I didn't even respond. I should have responded to that message because I should have responded and been like, hey, I bought this at full price. Can I get a can I get a discount since you're selling it cheaper now? Like this ain't Walmart or Amazon.
What?
I was saying
Oh,
it was a bad joke. Um, but yeah, it's the market's changing. What people are interested in is changing. The businesses are changing, and I think it's not really easy to boil down to one thing. I think it's like a ton of shit all together. It's a perfect storm, if you will.
yeah.
But that's pretty much all I wrote down for like facts and stuff. I skipped a lot because it's kind of boring. Um, I mean, I guess I can go over some of the data. So in 2010, oh, I did some of that. Mm, yeah, MGP was down 20% last year.
Which is
Actually,
crazy. You mentioned that MGP was cutting production. If you understand MGP's business model, that's that's wild, and that's going to have second and tertiary effects for a lot of these non distilling producers who rely on that supply from them.
yeah, and I think the word of that got out where people realized, oh, a lot of your local distilleries are not selling stuff they made; it's stuff from Indiana.
Right.
So, like, you're looking on the bottle and you're like, "Isn't this cool? It came from here, and they made it right down the street." Then you look on the bottle and it's like distilled in Indiana, and then it's like, "Oh, that's MGP." And I like MGP. I mean, like MGP ryes are
Oh yeah.
one of my favorite things. But yeah, I think a lot of these small distilleries tried to go with that business model of it's okay, we'll just sell MGP until our stuff's ready. And I think that would have worked if you started in 2018, 19, and then your
Yeah.
stuff was ready in 2022,
Sure.
2023, and then you're able to put out predominantly well aged your stuff.
Right. Right.
But I think getting into this market in 2022, starting a distillery and selling MGP, I think a lot of those. I mean, there were some success stories like the one with the flower on the bottle. What's wrong with my brain right now?
Four
Penelope.
roses.
Penelope.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
that worked out for them. They sold MGP and then got bought for
Right.
a ton of money. Those
Hmm.
guys are super wealthy now. But yeah, a lot of these small distilleries. I mean, I've got bottles before that people have given me or I've bought because I just wanted to support somebody. But it's just MGP, and those companies, a lot of them don't even exist anymore.
Yeah. I think the big takeaway from this is if you're bummed out that this is happening, um, and you spent the last 5+ years flipping bottles on secondary and buying secondary prices and hoarding, but this is your fucking fault.
Yeah, it's your problem. You did this.
You did
This is
this.
you. You single-handedly corrupted the the whiskey market.
You and all these,
Bourbon personalities.
Yeah.
it's all their fault.
I watched something from him the other day and saw this charity who supported it and looked up the charity, just hoping I could just shit all over it. It's actually a
Yeah,
pretty good charity. It's not
that's
bad.
good.
Their numbers look good. Not mad at them. They're getting paid a salary, but it's not like 500,000 a year like a lot of these places.
Sure. Well, people got to make a living,
Yeah, I'm fine with
but
that. That doesn't bother me
if
at all.
you're when you're getting paid 600,000 a year,
Yeah.
it's like
I mean, he makes
that.
more than I make, so I'm going to stick with my rule of if the CEO makes more than I make, they don't get any of my money. But
That's fair.
whatever. Yeah. So I don't know what's going to happen, man. I think I'm going to continue to do it. You know, I'm going to continue
Sure.
to keep stuff and buy cool stuff when I see it. But the days of me just picking up everything, excuse me, $300-$400 whiskey bills are over
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you. I was never that heavy into it. It's hard to spend that kind of money on liquor when you got 3 kids and activities and shit, but the the days of the days of spending and hunting I'm over it. It's just not, juice ain't worth the squeeze, man.
Yeah, it's definitely not anymore. But I think that the prices are going to start coming down here soon,
Yeah.
just because people aren't buying, and I think that it'll take a while for it to cool off. But hopefully, in like 2 years from now, we'll start seeing cool shit on the shelf again. I mean,
Yeah,
if
it
you
would be
think
nice
about it,
to be
like,
able to pick up some of those things that
yeah,
I've had to just kind of look at and go whatever for the last
yep,
several years, and then pick it up for a decent price. That'll be fun.
yeah. And I know it's already kind of happening because I work with a guy that is a bourbon guy, and
Mhm.
he told me this morning that he went to a store and was like, "Hey, did you guys get anything cool?" And he was like, "Yep, got a pile of it in the back." And he walked back there and was able to buy some good stuff at MSRP
Nice.
at a store in Mount Pleasant. So
Very cool. That's what I like to hear.
yeah, me too, man. I was like, "That's good, dude. I'm glad to hear that." Makes me wonder if the Nex is going to start getting cooler picks again.
Oh, I bet. 'Cause it always used to bother me, and you and I have both had this experience being in a liquor store, bottles or any liquor store for that matter. And there's always some clueless, and I don't mean that in a derogatory way, but just they just don't understand. Trying to buy this unicorn bottle for their significant other for a holiday. And you and I have both had this conversation in the middle of stores, probably to the annoyance of the owner, but like, hey, you don't. I know your boyfriend or your husband or whomever, your son says they want this bottle, but what if instead you spent $200 on these 5 bottles over here and got him a much more broad selection?
Yeah, start a collection, get it to
Yeah,
where he can start blending and mixing stuff, and see if he likes it. Doing a bottle and bond infinity barrel. We got a friend that's doing that. I mean,
that's
there's a
cool.
lot of cool things you
Yeah,
can do without buying super expensive bottles. And to be honest, I don't think the liquor store owners would be mad at that conversation because we're not trying to tell them to spend less money. We're just
sure,
saying pick up more stuff.
right.
So
And
it's like
to
they're turning inventory, and somebody else is going to come in and buy that expensive bottle. It's not a
and
big deal.
to their benefit, the more inventory they turn over, the more the distributor is likely to continue bringing stuff to them. If they have to sit on
Yep.
inventory for a long time, they start moving down that priority list for distributors, depending on how the distribution works in your state.
Yep. Yep. I know it's a thing here. I don't know if
Yeah.
it still is because of what happened with the big distribution companies here where they had actually that was nationwide, I think. But yeah, with Sazerac, big who done it there. People spent a bunch of money on Fireball and then they were like, well, turns out all these I talked to a guy the other day. I'm not going to say which distribution company he works for, but basically they had gotten audited on like stuff, like whiskey
Mhm.
and stuff, like rare stuff. And he said that there was something like 62 cases of what was it? I think it was Pappy. They had fallen off the truck,
Yeah, I bet.
gone missing, just fucking gone.
Happy Gate 2.0.
Yeah, this was actually, but this one was actually real money. that one
Yeah,
was that one was
that's
nothing.
crazy.
Yeah,
I'm not surprised, man.
I'm not either. I've heard of it before where stores are supposed to get something and it shows up and they were missing 3 bottles or whatever.
Yeah,
The allocation this year was terrible too. I mean, a lot of most people got like a vertical and that was it. They didn't
yeah.
get multiple bottles or cases like they used to. Yeah, it's crazy, man. I think a lot of this is I guess it could actually boil down to education. Just people aren't educating themselves. They're just seeing brand name. Oh, I got to have Nikes. Oh, I've got to have
Sure.
a Glock. I've got to, well, I'm not going to argue that one. You do need to have a Glock. But I got to have a Prada. I got to have a Gucci belt.
Yeah,
I got to dress like Cam Newton. What was his name? Is that right?
Newton. Well, and
Yeah.
it comes down to not just people buying and participating in the whole secondary thing, but it's the community as a whole hyping things up and making everyone think that they got to go get that thing.
Yeah.
Everyone's got you got to have it, and it's like, I mean, it's cool when people share, but when you're inflating or making something out to be this fat, and you and I have seen it right from when we started drinking whiskey years ago. When we were still I was in college, you were still in the army, even before that, like, there weren't all these single barrels, all these little micro things, right? But as they've developed and people, especially like you get some people who are, I don't know if fanboy is the right word, but and then you get your little you get your whiskey clubs, your groups, and they all hype each other up and hype up this brand and that brand, and um I think it puts a little bit of an artificial, I don't know what I'm trying to say. I'm shut the fuck up. I
I
was
was
going
just, I
somewhere
was,
with that, but
I was thinking you were going to say it puts like an artificial value on
that,
what's out
yes,
there.
that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
Because I agree with you. It's like, you want to support local, support your friends, support what your friends like, and you start pumping all this product. I mean, that's the reason we've never taken a whiskey sponsor. We just don't. It's not. We like all of it. I mean, there's
Yeah.
some stuff that we don't like, but we're not trying to have to come to you every day and be like, the only thing we like is this one brand. It's just we just don't do it.
Yeah.
People send us stuff. We make videos of it. I mean, if you're a distiller and you want to send me stuff, please do. I've got like 3 right now that I need to do. It's hard to do it because I don't want to lie. So I haven't really made any content this month because I'm not drinking.
Well,
But
it's also hard. Yeah, I'll just leave it at that.
yeah. But I don't know, man. I don't know what's gonna happen. I hope it gets easier to get some of this stuff. I hope that we don't lose people. I hope people still enjoy drinking whiskey and bourbon
Sure.
and talking about it and learning more. I think it's if you're listening to this podcast, you probably know more than the average person. Not because of us, just because you're into it enough to be listening to a podcast about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would recommend that you just try to learn. I mean, there's stuff out there. I mean, I've said it 1,000 times. I think I've already said it today, but the majority of what I drink is wild turkey. It's everywhere. It's easy to find. I like the flavor. It's good. It's good to me. It's 101 proof. It's I don't know.
Yeah.
You don't have to be searching and paying all this money for all this crazy stuff. You can just
No.
drink what you like.
Yeah. There's not only your local distillers, but your big brands. They all have flagship products that are their flagship products for a reason.
Yep.
Wild Turkey 101, Jim Beam bottled and bond. These things have, or I mean, Evan Williams bottled and bond. Everybody has these offerings that have been pretty consistent for 20, 30, 40, 50 years for a reason. Now you can still get those, and you don't have to participate in this mess of a secondary market and
The other thing
chasing.
too is like Jack Daniels is a monster. Jack Daniels with unsweet tea is
Hmm.
like I'd still drink that a lot. Jack Daniels on the rocks, I drink a lot. I mean, it's people scoff at, oh, that's what rednecks on the I'll pick on you on the bayou are drinking. It's not what it's not what real America white tie and or tie and shirt suit
Yeah.
jacket. That guy's not drinking Jack Daniels.
No.
That's for rodeo folks. No, people drink it. I drink it. I like it. There's a lot of good brands out there that are that you can just go into any store and buy. It's also the convenience of it. Like you're traveling, it's like why would you want to buy $100 bottle that you're going to drink half of over the weekend when you could
Hmm.
go buy a $30-$40 bottle, drink what you want, just leave it there. Leave it at the
Yeah.
Airbnb.
Yep.
Let the cleaning crew have it.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah. If you have any input on that or thoughts or even want to tell your personal bourbon story about why you aren't buying, or if you've slowed down buying at all, leave a comment, let us know. I like reading those and responding. I try to respond to everything, unless it's like a super old video. Also, I'm going to go ahead and say this. The video I did on Better Stay Copperhead Road. There we go.
Oh
I
yeah.
had to sing the song in my head. I've the amount of comments that we've gotten. I was deleting them for a while, but I've just like fuck it. But I said Johnson City, Tennessee, on accident, meant Johnson County,
Uh,
and so it just negates the entire video. I'm stupid.
oh yeah.
I'm an idiot. Nothing I said in there matters because I misspoke city versus county. Okay. So
Yeah.
please, everybody go in and leave me another comment that lets me know how stupid I am for saying city, not county.
Because we all know you've never misspoke.
Yeah, no shit. I probably already misspoke
Ridiculous.
today. Oh, you're talking about regular.
Talk about them.
Yeah, regular people. No, regular people don't misspeak. Everybody's perfect except me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the problem here.
Correct.
Anyhow, that's the other thing too. If you do like that video and you want me to do something else, pick it. I wanted to do one on Buffalo Trace because I'm really tired of this oldest distillery and operator distillery.
Oh, yeah.
I'm really sick of that. So I've thought about doing a video on that, but man, I've tried it like twice and then I'm like, you're just being hateful. I don't really like being hateful, so I quit doing it. Yeah, that's it. What else we got going on? Nothing. There's nothing to hunt right now. I guess ducks are still in for a few. No, are they out?
They are not yet, but they will be soon.
Yeah, ducks are going out. I guess turkey season's next. I'll probably be in Kentucky doing some stuff on the land, so maybe I'll do a little turkey hunting while I'm out there.
Nice.
Haven't decided. I started listening to like shaman music in the sauna.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Nice.
I don't really like closing my eyes in front of people, but if I can get to where I can close my eyes, you just kind of like drift off into, I don't know, nowhere land. You're just alone with your thoughts. And then when you open your eyes, you're like, ugh, world. It's weird because I've never really tried meditation, or I'm not really saying I'm meditating, but just closing your eyes and trying not to think.
Yeah.
It's a pretty crazy experience, really.
Yeah, if you do it long enough. I've played with it a couple times. If you do it long enough and you get in the right place, you can have some weird experiences.
Yeah. It's especially fun in the sauna because it's hot, but it almost like numbs it down some. Because I was like, this sauna sucks, and I looked up and the temperature's where it's supposed to be, and I look at my watch and my heart rate, was like 140 something, and I was like, oh shit, I'm hot and sweating my ass off. I just didn't even notice it because I was in La La Land listening to.
Oh fuck!
I should learn how to do that. The throat singing.
Start your own channel and record an album.
Yeah, me and that guy with the parrot, the metal band with the parrot. Us three. Well, the guy in the picture, the guy in the holding the parrot, he's dead, but the other guy's still alive. I don't know if the parrot's still alive. His name was Brian. R.I.P. Brian. Yeah, I don't really have anything else.
Me either.
You do.
No, I'm good, man. It's been a long week. I needed this little laugh, a little chit chat.
Same. Next week we got a little surprise for you. It'll just be me, and Jesse from Brown Foreman. So Fitz hit me up and got a guy in town. So I'm going to sit down. Gus can't make it, so I'm going to sit down and record with him at Paddock and Whiskey in the vault. The bank vault in there.
Yeah, nice.
Close the door and do a podcast in there. So that'll be fun. I'm looking forward to that. So that'll be coming out next Monday, I guess. As long as I don't screw up on recording it. Who knows? I don't know if there's Wi-Fi service in a bank vault. Probably not. So I might have to figure that out. But we'll see. Yep, that's all I got. All right.
Cool. Well, thanks for listening. Hopefully you learned something. Remember, it's your fault.
Yep.
And
your fault.
Thanks for tuning in.
Have a nice day.